complex, yet to be revealed. The terracotta warriors chronicle the birth of China and guard the treasures believed to be buried nearby. They are one of China's biggest tourist attractions, drawing crowds of over 10 million people a year to the city of Xi'an. No two soldiers look alike. Each one of the 8,000 warriors is unique.
This is because the terracotta warriors were all modeled after real people. They weren't made by using a standard mold. If a mold were used, it would have given all the statues the same look. They were mainly shaped by hand.
Up close, each warrior's face has a history, a character, the spirit of the real soldier he was modeled after. It's easy to imagine them as the sons, fathers, and brothers who gave their lives to serve the king for eternity. The terracotta soldiers are a replica of the powerful Qin army that conquered 6 neighboring states to unify China. Emperor Qin Shi Huang became China's first emperor in 221 BC, conquering all the neighboring states. He forged China's national identity, centralizing the government and standardizing measurement, currency, and language. He made history with the construction of the Great Wall, forcing hundreds of thousands of laborers to the harsh northern frontier to build a giant barrier against invaders. And when it came to building his own tomb, his methods were no less brutal.
The moment he ascended the throne, he started the preparation of his tomb, even after his death. The construction of the tomb continued. It took 37 years. At one point, there were 710,000 people working on it.
Emperor Qin suffered from a compulsive fear of death. He sent his hapless officials on foreign missions to seek remedies for eternal youth. In the end, he died from an overdose of mercury pills, which ironically, he believed would let him live forever.
The Chinese believe in the immortality of the spirit and life after death. So emperors built their graves to resemble the palace they lived in when they were alive, except smaller in scale. But usually, the tomb was just a representation of the actual palace.
Traditionally, the Chinese believe there's continuity between life and death. People can take physical things with them for their comfort in the spirit world. But Emperor Qin went much further than that, beyond anything the country had ever seen, building a tomb that covered 35 square miles, over 500 times bigger than any other tomb excavated in China. So far, nobody has been able to find the entrance to the main tomb where the emperor's body is believed to be buried. The ancient historian Sima Qian recorded that the tomb was guarded by crossbows, booby-trapped to launch deadly arrows at intruders. The crossbows protect what's believed to be one of the world's most magnificent collections of imperial riches.
In Sima Qian's book, it was recorded that Emperor Qin's underground tomb contained rivers and seas of mercury. People at that time had the concept that all land under heaven belonged to the emperor.
It's said that the imperial tomb envisioned an entire replica of the universe. The ceiling was covered with constellations made of pearls and precious gems. On the floor, a model of China's landscape with the Great Wall snaking across it and rivers of mercury winding through the valleys. In the center, an elaborate coffin housing the emperor's corpse. All beneath a pyramid-shaped mound 180 feet tall. Originally, The burial mound covering the tomb was a majestic 9-level structure, twice its current height. Today, even with the erosion of 2,000 years, it's still an imposing mark of a ruler bent on immortality. In the 1980s, a survey of the mound's soil revealed unusually large concentrations of mercury, much higher than nearby areas. Experts have taken this as a sign that the rivers of mercury decorating Emperor Qin's tomb may well exist, and that Sima Qian's grand descriptions aren't just fiction. Somewhere around here, these men hope to unearth a 20,000-acre tomb holding the riches which accompanied the first emperor to the afterlife. The emperor could be forgiven a smile. His goal of eternal life in the lap of extraordinary luxury may indeed have been realized, with the help of archaeologists committed to preserving Emperor Qin's tomb and its contents forever. For now, the secrets of Qin Shi Huang remain hidden in the largest unopened tomb in the world, guarded by the terracotta warriors. Until it is excavated, the myths will multiply and the mystery will thicken. But if the scientists have got it right, the stars will shine and the rivers will flow in the emperor's tomb. Perched midway up a precarious rock face, it seems to hang in midair. A sacred shrine that could, at any time, crash and tumble disastrously onto the rocky floor below. But after 1,400 years, it's still up there. On the sheer cliffs of sacred Mount Hen, supported only by wooden beams, the Hanging Monastery has inspired awe for over a millennium. 230 miles from Beijing, the Hanging Monastery lies well off the beaten track. Close to the sleepy backwater towns of Shanxi province, it's hard to imagine that the villagers' simple lives are led in the shadow of such riches and one of China's most famous wonders. While these villagers may be passed by, the Hanging Monastery is one of the country's most popular tourist sites.
And what is really amazing is that it's wooden. It's wood. There's no iron. It's just the same it was. So it's unbelievable. It's great.
Suspended 15 stories above the Hen Valley floor, it's a mystery why it was built there and how it survived. In Chinese, it's called the monastery suspended in a void. One reason for its peculiar position could be the floods that used to plague the valley. Today, a dam controls the river, making the building easily accessible to visitors, if they're brave enough.
Many people visit the Hanging Monastery every year. And the first question they ask is, why is the monastery built on the west cliff of Jinxia Gorge? The gorge is 30 miles long, and the mountains block the wind from the north and south. The monastery is built in an indentation in the cliff beneath an overhang. That's why the building is still intact after 1,400 years, in spite of weathering. Its surroundings reduce the destructive force of nature.
But even so, it's a wonder that the harsh local climate hasn't brought the monastery down. It's been rocked by earthquakes and savagely whipped by the wind for thousands of years. In fact, even when the Great Hongtong earthquake hit the province in 1303, with a force that would measure 8.0 on the Richter scale, the Hanging Monastery escaped undamaged. The building is a tribute to the talents of the engineers who were far ahead of their time. They made the monastery to last by making the actual cliff a vital part of the building's foundation.
The monastery was built with a foundation formed out of the rocks jutting out of the cliff. It's not just floating in mid-air.
What the naked eye can't see from below is that the hanging monastery is actually built into the cliff face. More than 40 cave rooms were dug into the rocks to hold precious religious statues of all shapes and sizes. This process was also crucial to lending the building its much-needed support. Glancing at the structure, it looks suspiciously like the beams get more than a little support from vertical wooden poles resting on tiny rock ledges.
When I got off the bus and I saw the monasteries at the beginning, I didn't think it was able to climb up because this was so old and it's all made of wooden that I thought it was going to fall apart if somebody was able to go up there.
When you're walking down there, you look upstairs and you see this wooden floor and it's based on wooden pillars. And you think, how can it hold me? And how can it hold all those people for so many centuries? So that's a bit scary.
But it's easy to be misled.
In fact, the thin pillars are just for decoration, to give people more confidence to go up to the monastery. If we use thick pillars, the monastery wouldn't look like it's hanging. But if we didn't use any pillars, it'd look too unstable and nobody would go up. That's why all the pillars are very thin. They actually don't give any support to the monastery.
So the wooden pillars, which appear to protect the tourists, really don't support them at all. They were put there within the last century, just to make the monastery look more stable for the faint-hearted. Otherwise, one look down and most of them would abandon any idea of walking in a void.
有点怕，就不敢往下看，太悬了。
其实也不是很怕，但是说就 exciting， 就比较兴奋。
If you look down, it's quite terrifying because it's so high. It's such a steep wall. It's very impressive that they are able to build something like this such a time ago. It's really beautiful.
Oh man.